We last saw Jane and Luis. They were looking over their pre-approved mortgage offer and searching through real estate listings. They pick their favorites and make a date to look over the condos. And it's not a wasted trip. They fall in love with the location and the modern interiors. The condo is a bit more expensive than the mortgage offer, but Jane and Luis think they can afford it if they do a joint application. Plus, Jane's just got a raise at work, which the bank doesn't know about yet. When they get home, Jane and Luis submit the application. That triggers a series of processes. The bank notices a jump in Jane's income and sends a text message requesting Jane to upload proof of her new salary. Jane is given the option to upload a pay stub or link a bank account. She uploads a recent pay stub in her banking app. The underwriting team receives the file, updates and approves the joint application, and the mortgage is pushed by FICO Platform to the banking system for funding. Jane gets a text telling her the mortgage is approved, and she and Luis are on their way to buying their first home together. Let's see how Atlantis Bank was able to make Jane and Luis's dream come true.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome Ignacio Gonzalez Arbolea.
Good morning, everyone. The first thing that I would like to say to you is I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't let you sleep last night due to the anxiety of knowing what will happen to Jane and Luis in the story. No worries, because you're about to find out. So if you recall from yesterday's demonstration, we went through this next best action use case, and we left it off in a moment that Jane had just received this pre-approved mortgage offer in her phone. So please, let's go ahead, take a look into my screen again and see what happens next. Right, so this is the message that we received yesterday saying, looking for a new home, you have a pre-approved mortgage up to 300K, call us now. So we're gonna go ahead and click on that public link that we're receiving. That is gonna take us to the public website of Atlantis Bank, where now Jane and Luis can go ahead and apply for this pre-approved mortgage offer. If I was to leave everything as is, so all the information such as the customer number, the date of birth, the employment, the income, everything, even the requested amount, which is the pre-approved 300K, and I clicked on apply for mortgage, this is gonna go into the second use case, the one for originations for mortgage lending, and immediately I'm gonna receive a message saying, congratulations, your application has been accepted, we'll get back to you shortly, with all of the outcoming information as well as the amortization schedule. But if you paid attention to the video that you just saw, that was not what was happening. What was happening is that Jane and Luis were looking to buy a house that was a bit more expensive than the pre-approved amount. So that's exactly the same thing that we're gonna do in here. I'm gonna get back into the public website. I'm gonna add an applicant. I'm gonna add Luis. So I'm gonna say digital Luis. I will give any random date of birth. He will be quite old. Relationship partner, and the requested amount, I'm gonna just increase it a little bit to 320, because that's the price of the house we want to buy, and I click on apply for mortgage. That's gonna go back again to the use case for originations, and in this case, what I'm receiving is, your application is under review, we'll get back to you shortly. So what is going on behind the scenes? What is happening in FICO Platform for this use case? So let's go ahead and take a look. So just the same way we did yesterday, this is, once again, the list of solutions or projects that I have. Yesterday, we went through the one called Next Best Action, and in this case, we're gonna go into the one that is called Originations for Retail Lending, of which just mortgages is just another product. I'm gonna go into components to see the capabilities that I'm making use of for this use case, and the one that I would like to show you first is the overall orchestration capability to see what is happening from an end-to-end point of view. So I'm gonna open the orchestration, just by clicking on this little arrow. Configure Process Designer. It's gonna look very similar to the one that we saw yesterday for Next Best Action. The look and feel is exactly the same. It's just that the flow itself is a bit more complex, but I'm sure that it will be familiar to most of you. Basically, what we're doing in here is getting some internal data about Jane, going to internal databases to get that data, validating the data to make sure that it's ready for the processing, making a pre-bureau call to decisioning to make sure that everything is ready to proceed, checking some hot lists to make sure that Jane and Louis are not in any type of banned list. Then what we will do is that we will get their FICO score. We will do another call to the decision capability as a post-bureau call to come up with a final decision, which can be a hard reject, an approval, or as in the case of Jane and Louis, a review. So in the case of Jane and Louis, they have fallen under this node in here, which is a human activity, a human task, that is called underwriting review. This means that their process is going to be put in pause, is going to be put on hold, until a reviewer, an analyst, will go into the Atlantis Bank's case manager system and will resume the process for its execution. One of the aspects that is crucial when designing these type of lending use cases is coming up with a pricing strategy. And in here, a financial institution could come up with a pricing strategy that is mediocre, with a pricing strategy that is good, with one that is very good, or with the best pricing strategy possible. And by the best pricing strategy possible, I mean the mathematically optimal pricing strategy. And by the mathematically optimal, I mean the one that is maximizing the originations volume, maximizing the margin, while also keeping an eye on price sensitivity, which is the one that is driving the take-up rates and the expected losses. How can we create that optimal pricing strategy here on the platform? The same way that we've been doing yesterday and today, coming back into the same solution and opening up the optimization capability of platform, which is called Express Insight. So I'm going to go into that one so that you can see how that's done. Name of my project is Mortgage Price Optimizer. Once I will get the full description as to what I can do, how I can do it. I get this handy dashboard on how many quotes I'm having, applications, bookings, booking amount. What I'm going to already do is that I'm going to select a couple of scenarios that I have already pre-calculated just for a matter of time. One of the scenarios is a baseline. This is my assets without having optimized anything yet. And the other one is in a scenario in which I'm maximizing the economic profit. So I'm going to load those two. And I would like to show you the application forecast screen. In the application forecast, I'm going to be able to predict what is going to be the forecasted incoming applications that I'm going to get in the period of time that I'm looking to optimize. And those applications, together with the action effect models, which are basically the loss curves, the take-up curves, and the prepayment models, will go as an input to the mathematical computation of the optimal pricing strategy. Just by clicking on the control pane, I can select if what I would like to optimize is maximize the originations volume or else maximize the economic profit. And what I can do also under constraints is set up any type of restrictions that I want to set up as per my business. For example, such that the total exposure, I want it to be less or equal to 5%, or for example, such that the net interest income, I want it to be greater or equal to 18 million. Once that's done and the scenarios are run, I can access the results to see the KPIs of those scenarios. I just need to go into the KPI summary, and I will be able to see my baseline and my optimized scenario so that I can compare between those two. Here I have them. I can see my baseline, my optimized scenario. I can see the total quote count, which is exactly the same for both, the application count, the volume. Actually, if you see the originations volume, you can see that the baseline was giving me 98 million, and my optimized scenario is giving me 93 million. So my optimized scenario is given less credit. But if you go down to the KPIs for profit and loss and you focus on the economic profit, you can see that the baseline was giving me 7.6 million, and my optimized scenario is giving me more than 8 million. So despite of giving less credit, my optimized scenario is giving credit that is of better quality, and therefore is yielding more economic profit. Now, what about the time to market? Lots of times when speaking of FICO and FICO Platform, we say, yeah, time to market, time to value, time to production. Okay, but what is that? How can we turn that into something tangible? So I will show you what that means. I'm going to go into the result of my optimal strategy, which is in the shape of a matrix, where you will be able to see all of the optimal interest rates depending on the FICO band, depending on the risk tier of the incoming application, depending on the scenario, and depending on the term. So these are the optimal interest rates to be assigned. The only thing I need to do now is just click on this little gear here in the corner and say export to CSV, and this is going to be downloaded as a CSV onto my laptop. So now I just need to go into the decisioning capability of platform and deploy this for execution in production. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to close the optimization. I'm going to go back into my solution, and I will open up Decision Modeler, which is the decisioning capability of Platform. So configure, open Decision Modeler. I will open up my retail lending project, which is right here, retail lending decisioning. And the first thing that I will bring up is the main decision flow that has been executed every time that we're getting this incoming application for mortgages. Basically, we're doing the traditional steps, such as executing some knockout rules to decide whether to continue with the logic or not, computing the debt service ratio, segmenting our customers. Then we will split the logic depending on whether this is an unsecured lending or whether this is a mortgage, like in our case. And finally, we will do some competition between two different types of approval strategies, like a champion-challenger competition. So now, for the first time in the history of the planet, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to measure the time to market. So I'm going to open a stopwatch in here in front of you, and I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, start. I will go now into Decision Modeler. I will get into an empty folder that's called Optimized Rates. I will open an empty table that is right here. You can see that it's empty. I just need to click on the Import button right here. I just need to choose my file. I will go into my laptop. I will select the CSV that I just downloaded from the optimization capability. I click on Finish. There it is, my strategy imported, and pause. 20 seconds, 0.7. That is the time to market on FICO Platform. When you go back with your families, you can let them know about that. Right, so I'm going to save this, and now let's go one step beyond, which is I'm going to take the overall decision flow that we had in here. We can take it at any level of granularity. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create scenario-based simulations by either changing the input data and or any of the assets that are inside. This is any of the models, the strategies, the rules, the cutoffs, the trees, anything. Play around with my configuration. What I'm going to do also is that I'm going to create KPIs, or as we call them here, business outcomes. And this will vary depending on your use case. This can be profit, customer satisfaction, expected loss, risk capital, churn risk. And then what I will be able to do is to put all those scenarios side by side together with one another so that I can compare among them and select the one that is giving me the best KPIs to push that configuration onto production. How do I do that? How do I play around with that simulation? Just by clicking on the test button and clicking on simulation. I click on Open Business Outcome Simulator, and this is going to take me to the simulation capability of Platform. Again, I will get all the instructions as to how to do things. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the baseline scenario. This is my as-is scenario. And I'm going to define my KPIs or business outcomes. Again, this will depend on your specific use case. For my case, the things that I have are credit volume, expected loss, decision result, PD, LGD, EAD, and so on. Once I run the scenario, I can access the summary report for that scenario, for my baseline. And I can see that in my baseline, I'm getting a credit volume of 35 million, and I'm getting an expected loss of 1.4 million. But the beauty of this, the beauty of the optimization, is that now it's really easy to say, clone a scenario and create a new one. For example, intermediate customer segmentation. And create a copy, and then go to decisioning and change my models, my rules, my strategy, change anything you want, and then compare among those two. This is a scenario that I have preloaded, again, for a matter of time. So I'm going to add it in here. I'm going to add first the lax customer segmentation. And I can see those two scenarios side by side. I can see my baseline that was giving me 35 million of credit volume, and my new scenario in which I have created a strategy that is more lax, more loose. This is giving me 10 more million in credit volume. But for the expected loss, it's getting worse. It's passing from 1.4 million to 2.2 million. And I could go ahead and create another one. Click on clone and create another scenario and change something again. Play around with my configurations and run this experimentation with my configuration. And add that scenario as well, add the intermediate one, so that I can see those three side by side together. And the same information that I'm seeing here on a table, I can also see it graphically. So I could see, for example, the credit volume by decision result, where I can see my blue, which is the baseline, my green, which is the lax segmentation, and my orange, which is the intermediate. And the same thing for the expected loss by decision result. So what I'm doing here with 3 scenarios, you could do it with 4, 5, 6, with any number of them, put them side by side, and select the one that is giving you the best KPIs before pushing that configuration onto production for execution. Right, we're about to resume the process for Jane and Louis. We're about to give them the keys to their house. Prior to doing that, prior to resuming the process, what I would like to do with you very quickly is to show you an example of reporting, which is also embedded in a FICO Platform solution. Thanks to the fact that FICO Platform is automatically capturing all of your transactions, thanks to this observability, we are getting hold of all these transactions flowing through your solutions in any of the 3 environments of the lifecycle, in development, in staging, and in production. So that very easily, we can just generate visualizations, generate insights, and understand what is going on in our solutions. So I will just give you a very quick example. I will open up an empty workbook for my retail lending use case, and I will drag and drop, for example, the number of records, so that I can see that in the development environment, I've had 7,199 requests. And now, for example, I could drag and drop the region field. And I would like to see this as a map, so that I can see how many transactions I'm having in real time per each of the regions where I'm doing business. Or, for example, I would like to visualize this as a pie chart over a map. I will make the size of the pie chart a bit bigger, and now drag and drop the number of records onto the angle of the pie, and the decision results to the color. So very fast, I can understand how many acceptors, rejectors, review level 1, 2, 3, I'm having per each of those regions. All right, so the time has arrived. Let's go ahead and unblock the process for Jane and for Louis. I'm gonna go back into Atlantis Bank website, this one in here. I will go into Jane's profile. I will go into loan applications, and here it is, the one that we generated that fell under review level 1. The strategy that was run was champion. The decision result was waiting. We can see all of the output information, and what I'm gonna do is just also show you James' phone in here. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say set final decision as a case manager reviewer, and I'm gonna say, Jane, you are very cool. And I click on accept. This is gonna resume the orchestration process on FICO Platform. It's gonna assign the approval. Over here, I can see also the final amortization schedule that has been calculated and has been assigned. And we're getting also that final SMS. I will make my phone a bit bigger, saying, congratulations, we just wanted to let you know that your credit application is approved. I just need to tap on that link, so that thanks to the communications capability of Platform, I will be able to electronically sign my contracts. So I will be able to see all of the information, the interest rate, how much Jane is gonna have to pay, how much Louis is gonna have to pay, and I can click to sign as Digital Jane and click on Submit. And with this, Jane and Louis are able to go to their new house to eat burgers all day. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much.